In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a universal joint. We can see it's animated on one end here with limitations on the degree of motion so the parts don't collide. If I close out of this animation, we can see how it moves on each of the joints. So to get started with this, we're going to open up a new document. Now that that new document's open, we're going to create a sketch. I'm going to place that sketch on my front plane. And I'm going to grab my line tool and I'm going to draw a 5-inch line. Now I want this line centered on my origin point, so I'm going to, let's do this again, centered on my origin point. So I'm going to go from my end of my line to my line. I want to go 2.5 inches. I'm going to draw a line going up on each side 2 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my circle tool, my center point circle tool, and I'm going to go to the center line up here and I'm going to draw a 2-inch circle. I'm going to dimension the center of this circle to the origin point, 5 inches. Now I'm going to grab my line tool. I'm going to make this a construction line, and on that center line I'm just going to draw a construction line so I can mirror. And I want to go back into that sketch. And I'm going to grab my line tool. I'm going to draw a line from the right side to the end of this line. I'm going to come up to my constraints. I want to make that line tangent to my circle. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to mirror across that construction line to make it symmetrical. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this piece 6 inches. Now I'm going to put a plane down. I'm going to place that plane on my top plane and I'm going to offset that 6 inches so it aligns with my top here. You can see that there. On that plane, I'm going to lay a sketch. Again, I'm going to look at it from the top view. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool and I'm going to draw the rectangle length. Rectangle length doesn't matter to me. The width does. I'm going to make that 4 inches and I'm going to dimension that 1 inch from one of the sides. Now I can do an extrusion, a removal, and I want to remove 5 inches. So we can see right here. I'm going to come to the front. I'm going to place a sketch down on the face of my part here. You can see that right there. And now I'm going to make that hole. To make this hole, I'm going to grab my center point circle. I'm going to make sure I'm in my center line here. I'm going to make that a 2-inch circle. And I'm going to dimension that from the top right here to the center point, 2 inches. I'm then going to click on extrude. I'm going to do remove, and I'm going to go through all. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come around to my bottom. I'm going to grab that center point circle. I'm going to find the middle line. I'm going to make a 3-inch circle and dimension it from the center point to the bottom, 3 inches as well. And then I'm going to extrude this piece 3 inches. So we can see as I have that first portion of the joint done, I can now bring 2 of these into the assembly file. In the next video, we'll look at creating the second part of the joint.